Oh, okay.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. Dove and Myrna, this mic is all yours.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Myrna.
Good morning, Dove. How art thou?
All is well. Happy birthday, Regis.
Yes.
Yes, another trip around the sun.
That's a good way to put it. Another trip around the sun. Yeah. Another year is another trip around the sun. I like that.
Going nowhere.
Right. He's great. I was just with him on this YouTube Gather Us just now, and he's so inspiring. He really is. And obviously he's also inspired by music, which is very nice. Good way to relax and get into the Holy Spirit, get into us, get into who we really are, the truth of who we are. I wanted to mention too that last night, I'm so glad that I attended Amy Anderson's talk, because we all got together and we prayed for Max, who was in the hospital with internal bleeding, and all of us collectively really gave it our all. I thought it was wonderful, and with such power behind us, only good can come of it. So it was lovely. And anybody listening, let's pray for Max. Max's health. Max is already well. We just now have to help him physically heal. Okay. Anyway, today's lesson, Father, today I am your son again. I like, that's an interesting affirmation. Father, today I am your son again. The Course in Miracles tells us that we never left the sanctity of God, the holiness of who we are, the power of our oneness. We never left it. Today I am your son again means that I'm finding it. I have found it. And that I can now know that it was never lost. Once you find it, the truth of the fact that we were never separated comes to light. And then we can then journey on and feel the presence of God and feel the wonders of creation that we're all connected to. We thought we left, and we thought we left the will of God, and we created our own will, which is the ego. But this lesson tells us it happened. The thought of separation happened in just in momentary. It happened in timelessness. It was just a moment. But we're dreaming now as if it happened a long, long time ago. But we're really living in the moment when we see that we are still holy and still a part of the part of God which created us, and the part of God that we still reside within is the power of love. And when God shows us the love that we are now feeling, because we're open to it, the love of spirit, the love of God, then we can now, by feeling it, it's now part of us. And that's what people will see. That's what our brothers see in us, because that's all we are showing of ourselves, the true self of who we are. And that is a very healing aspect, the healing feeling that I get when I can rely on that, when I can rely on God's judgment and not on my own judgment, and to extend and to now live with that, and knowing that there is no other will. we are not in control. We're never in control. And the miracle shows us that we're not in control, because when a miracle is experienced, I like to call it synchronicity as well. When something happens for our good, and then we know it, we didn't do it. It just came to us because we knew that the spirit within and the feeling that we have never separated from God, and that moment of truth happens, then there's nothing like it, because we're now recognizing that that we're not in control. And if we give control over to spirit, over to God, over to Jesus, over to universe, I like to speak to Jesus directly, because I hear his voice through A Course in Miracles. And he tells us who we really are and assures us that we're God realized. We always were. We never lost that. And I get a lot of comfort from that. Tomorrow, yes, it's Regis's birthday, and I just pulled up 365 thoughts. I have this calendar by Hugh Prather, and I'm going to read his birthday thought. This is for August 23rd, because I liked it. Happiness is easy. It is letting go of unhappiness that is difficult. We are willing to give up everything but our misery. And I think, it really says a lot. We're willing to give up everything but our misery. And it's really so simple to give up on misery, but it seems to be the most difficult thing to do, isn't it? It's simple because all we do is have to rely on the truth of who we are. And what is that truth? The only thing that brings us to that truth is complete forgiveness. And the Course mentions that as well in this lesson, that yes, we can forgive, but it's not really true forgiveness unless it comes from within. It's not about saying, yes, I forgive you because I'm going to be charitable, because that's implying that our brother has created a sin and he's not really deserving of our pardon, but we're going to extend it anyway. But that doesn't work, because because we're holding a grievance, whether we know it or not. So it's a matter of understanding that by letting go and by being completely forgiving without relying on our past history and holding somebody's past against them as well, brings us to salvation. And well, why hold on? Why hold on to pain? Misery is pain. Pain is really, the Course in Miracles tells us, it's self-inflicted. And I recognize that when I'm feeling pain, when I realize that I'm not with Source, I'm away from it. I stepped away from my true self, and I'm not with Source. But I can get back I can get back to the sanctity of who I am and the peaceful part of me that is there just for the taking. And I can know that I can rely on the miracle, that moment of when we're feeling peaceful, when we're feeling pain, and then we're into the peace that we just let go of the pain, and now we're in peace. That's the miracle. And when we experience a miracle, we're assured that there are more coming, because miracles are unlimited. We can always experience the moment and the miracle. So, Father, I am your son again. Yes, this time I would like to tell myself that I am knowing that I am his son, and that I want to remain in that place and not give it up. So I turn it to you, Doug.
Well, thank you so much for opening us up with that wonderful opening, because you covered so many topics. And I'm going to take the one that you just finished. I am your son again. And like you mentioned, all this happened in like a twinkling of an eye. The Course actually uses the expression, and I thought I put it up here, but I don't see it. Not a note of heaven's song is missed. So that's a direct quote. Oh, there it is. Not a note in heaven's song is missed. That's a direct quote from Jesus in A Course in Miracles. So he says that it was continuous. You didn't miss a beat, which means that we've always been at home. And that's exactly what the Course says. You never left. You fell into a deep sleep, dreaming that you're in exile. Now, why would we do that? And I think you touched upon it, Myrna. You said, well, if I have a grievance, and then you even mentioned that thing, I guess, which is for Regis's birthday. Happiness is easy. Unhappiness is not. And we chose to be unhappy. And you might say, well, why would anyone choose to be unhappy? And I think the moment you choose to be unhappy, you choose to suffer, and the only way you're going to suffer is to be what you're not. And that's my new mantra. I am not a body. But if you're unhappy, you are going to take on something that you're not, and we take on bodies, and bodies come to this world of things. A body is a thing, born in time, ends in time, and it's going to try to become happy. And like Will Smith said in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, remember, it's the pursuit of happiness. We're going to try and chase happiness, or we're going to become happy. And of course, you cannot chase happiness when happiness is who you are. And he tells you that in lesson 101, 102, 103. God's will for me is perfect happiness. I mean, that's God's will. I mean, I and the Father are one. I am his son. Why aren't I happy? Well, I think I want to have my own will. I want to be independent. I want to have my own life. I talked to a girl in this building that I live in. She's about 31 years old, and she has a sweetheart deal. She has a sweetheart deal. She comes from Poland, and she doesn't have her working papers because she overstayed her college visa many years ago. So she doesn't have working papers, so she can't really work, except as, like babysitting and things like that. And as it happens, there's a Polish woman in my building who took her in, and she lives rent-free. And the woman is gone 2 or 3 weeks at a time, sometimes traveling, visiting her family or going to different places. And I said to her, you have a sweetheart deal. She says, no, I don't. She says, I want to live my own life. I want to live my own life. I said, well, you are living your own life. I mean, she really, she's getting a car. She's learned how to drive. She's been to many more places than I have in these United States. She travels. I said, you have a sweetheart deal. She said, no, I don't. I said, okay. And I said, well, one day you may look back and recognize that you are living your life. This is life, I was going to get better when I have my own place. Right. That's the ego. It's going to get better in the future. Oh, okay. So what today's lesson is really saying is nothing has ever happened to disturb the peace of God that the Father and the Son is. And then it says, this we accept as wholly true today. This is what we accept. And I think the key word here is accept, because I say it many times. For me, acceptance and forgiveness are the same thing. And notice when he talks about the atonement, he uses the word accept. Your only responsibility in this world is to accept the atonement for yourself. Now, the word accept, I saw recently something on the word accept. Accept means not to use anything from my past to reason, to analyze, to try and figure out, contemplate from something in the past. Accept means I'm open now and I accept it now. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't have to, ponder it, deliberate it, look at it, figure it out, analyze, none of that. You just accept. Nothing from the past comes to you when you accept. I'm just going to accept. So acceptance happens in the present. Acceptance happens in the present. And what am I accepting? That I never left home. And that I'm accepting that the world that I made, a world of differences, doesn't even exist. Recently it came to me, actually, when I say recently, I think it was this morning. A couple of things were said this morning. One was from Ken Wapnick, and I listen to Ken Wapnick starting around 5:36 every morning, and Prudence plays him for 2 or 3 hours here in the morning. And he said something I didn't quite ever hear from him before. He says, "Who do you think you're teaching? Who do you think is out there that you're telling about A Course in Miracles? It is only you. You're teaching yourself." I think in another place this morning, I saw, I call it synchronicity, and you mentioned synchronicity. And I don't know if you know about I have a poster. Joni made me a canvas, or actually it was Maureen that made it for me. But anyway, it says, we live in a sea of synchronicity, a sea. In other words, that's all there is synchronicity within an ocean of love. Love is what we are. And everything that happens perfectly. So, whatever you see in another person, whatever you think is going on with them is going on with you. I think I've been saying that for many moons now, that you can write that on my tombstone. Whatever you're thinking, what you think another person is thinking about you, you're thinking they're judging me. No, that's my ego's judgment of me. They're thinking something bad of me. No, that's my ego thinking something bad of me. There is no other person. There's just this one. But in this wild world that we made for ourselves, it's a mirrored world. You say, well, that person doesn't respect me. That person doesn't like me. No, that's my ego. It doesn't respect me, doesn't like me. The ego sees you as a sinner. And what is a sinner in coarse language? A sinner in coarse language is simply one who basically believes in separation. And that's the only sin that's possible, is that you're separate from your Father who created you as happy. Yeah, like I have a dog named Happy, and he created us as happy. My will for you is to be happy. And say, no, I'm going to be unhappy. Well, you can't be unhappy in heaven, because unhappy means I am not who I think I am. I am happy. That's God's will. It's also my will. My will, lesson 102. And I share God's will for my happiness. No, I don't want to be happy. I want to be unhappy. And if you want to be unhappy, there's a doorway, and it has a sign over it. This is the way to be unhappy. And you go through the door, and you wind up on a third rock from the sun in the constellation Milky Way in the solar system. and you're on a third rock from the sun, and you're crying like a little baby. I wanna be fat. I gotta breathe. Somebody's beating me up. God, I'm getting slapped. Wow. I mean, I have a lot of cause to be unhappy. You gotta laugh at this stuff. You really do. If you're not laughing, the ego is talking to you and said, you got to take this serious. Over to you, man.
Yeah. We think it's hard to laugh at pain, because when we're feeling pain, the last thing we really want to do is laugh. But when we recognize that it's not real, because what is bringing on the pain, a lot of it is just frivolous thoughts and ideas that really are not necessary to nurture. And that's what we do. And then we take it seriously. When I wrote with Jesus, Private Lessons with Jesus from A Course in Miracles, I wanted to do the lessons with him again on our own, just me and him, just to see what would be coming up. And I'd like to read something, just part of this lesson. Actually, it is lesson 234, Father, today I am your son again. I'm only going to read part of it, because that particular day when I did this lesson with Jesus, I was not feeling at peace that morning. And I said, I can't go try to do this lesson feeling this way. No, and then I realized, well, that's my ego talking. Why can't I go and see what happens? So I went to the computer and I asked Jesus about that. And the answer I got, and I'm just going to read half of the lesson because it's long, but this tells it all right here. Your soul, wait a minute. Okay. Spirit awaits quietly while the ego attempts to shout loudly from every corner of your mind. Your soul is quiet because it needs to be free from assault, so it stays pure as it waits your return to its place of harmony. Your soul is in holy territory and cannot be violated. Come to its quiet serenity and feel safe from worldly intrusions. When you sink into the deepest parts of yourself, do you not see a difference? Moments ago, you were in doubt as to whether this was the time to retreat into communion with God. But as you focused deeply, you immediately felt the warmth of his welcome and forgot the ego's discord. Come to God anytime you wish. Do not fear that the time may not be right in moments of unsettledness. The time is always right. Whenever you choose to sink into the comfort of his love, do not hesitate even for a second. God sees you as his perfect creation, and so this is what you are. So that showed me at that time when I was doing this lesson that God understands that we move away from peace, and that we move away from the sanctity of love, which is all encompassing, really, which we have. So because it's all encompassing, it's always there for us. But we step away from it thinking that it's not available. And then we start to see the ego's discord pouncing on us. And we buy into it, it moves us away from truth. And I really, just in doing this lesson, recognize that moment of truth, that God is always waiting. It's not, we don't wait on him. When I'm feeling better, then I'll let you into my life, which is basically how I was feeling. But he was saying, I am waiting on you. Come to me now, because I'm here for you. And I learned that day. I became aware that there's no separation, and that I don't have to allow it to become a part of me that rules supreme, because the ego tries to do that. If we see that what really is the wholeness of truth is peace, and we want to acquire peace, and there's no other way to get there. There are no ways around it except through spirit. And then we can experience truth, because we also see that we can experience peace, I should say, because then we can really see that is the truth of who we are, because we can attain peace. We just have to be open to it and accept it. And once we're accepting God and all that exists within God, which includes us, there is no separation between us and God, then we can begin to experience wholeness and peace. And yes, we can get interrupted. We can get triggered. I got triggered just yesterday, actually, but it doesn't matter, because at that moment, like you said, you have to laugh at it. And for the first time, I was able to laugh at it, because I realized, what's triggering me? Nonsense, nothingness. I'm buying into something that's not really there. I'm buying into the illusion. And to live in the illusory world of the ego is really a death trap. And to move away from that place of pain is to know that it's peace that we're really seeking, and it's there for us. And all we need to do is just accept it, because we know that it's there. And I think life is full of experiences that teach us. I think the pain that we go through within our lives does bring us to peace, because we know the difference. We know that we don't like pain. We know that we don't want it. We know what it is. Sometimes it's so subtle that we don't even recognize it. But when we start to realize that we're not at peace, that we're in pain and there's nothing else, that's where we are. And the Course in Miracles, one of the lessons is, I am never upset for the reason I think. So when we're in pain, we're in illusion, because nothing is really giving us a reason of sanity. When we're upset, we're really in the insane part of the self that we made, and that we can obliterate, really. We're living in the world. The ego is part of who we are, but it can be a little pesky puppy, so to speak, rather than a great big monster that overtakes our daily life. And so I realized the difference. Ken Wapnick once said that the ego is so powerless, it's just so frightening. And it looks at his exact words. I don't remember the context of his thought about this, but he said, it looks at us with its beady little eyes, and it looks threatening, but it really is just nothing. And that's how to get back to the truth, by staying into the part of us that is away from pain, and that is only love. And the love that you feel is there if you allow it, if you will allow it to come to you in stillness. And then you don't want anything else. Why would I go back to misery? When I found love and I found peace within my heart and soul. And I'm going to read this again. Happiness is easy. It is letting go of unhappiness that is difficult. We are willing to give up everything but our misery. So now that's really a telling thought, isn't it? When we see that, it's down and out the truth, that we are willing to give up everything but our misery. I see that time and again. I see it with members of my own family. But I guess everybody is on a path, and the path to truth, we have to really maintain it by knowing that it's there, that we have to stay on it. We fall off it, knowing that we fell off it, and we're getting back on it again and moving to greater consciousness. I just want to say one other thing. I was listening to, I don't know if anybody ever heard of Cryon, of Magnetic Service. I listened to him on YouTube, Cryon, Kryon, and he's apparently channeling somebody's channeling an entity. And it's all truth that really comes from what he says. And I liked what he said this morning. I was listening to him that, in the density of this world, we bring karma with us, karma. And what is karma? That is, we bring, in other words, when we're experiencing karma in this lifetime, we come with a plan. That's what karma is. We come into this life, into this world, into this planet with a plan. And that's what karma is. And we hope that we learn what the plan is so that we can then grow from it. But once you have experienced the wholeness, the truth of God, and raise your consciousness in that respect, then there's no need for karma anymore. Because the next time you come back, when we reincarnate, we'll know what to do. We won't need karma to show us what to do, and to falter and to feel the pain of learning, the learning experience. We will come into this next life with a consciousness that has already been raised, and therefore we'll know exactly what to do. We'll know that what our purpose is, and we'll make those corrections because inherently we'll feel it. So I kind of like that a lot. I turn it back to you, Dove.
Okay, interesting sharing. I'll speak a little on that last comment you made, that you come back into this world, you don't have to learn all over again. Actually, there was a woman who was a reporter for the Washington Post many years ago. She wrote a series of books because her friend left the planet and said, I will be in touch with you and speak to you from the other side. And he would give her all kinds of things so she could write her books on. And one of the books, I think, was called From Here to Eternity, something like that. And he talked about a person who comes into this world as a walk-in. That was the expression, a walk-in. A walk-in doesn't have to go through the karma that we all go through for the first half of our life, which is to learn how, people make me a victim, and people hurt me, and my parents don't love me, and all that stuff. That you come in as a walk-in, so that part of learning is not necessary. You're actually here to help elevate the spirit of mankind, basically, because you're already at the place where the spirit is elevated. So what you said seemed to have at least a memory for me. One of the things you said earlier, and I was looking at section 23, and I'll put it up on the board, and it says, and gratitude to God becomes the way in which he is remembered. For love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. So in this world, having a grateful heart and a thankful mind is not all that easy, unless you can turn everything around. Like you were saying, well, I get triggered. And if you look at the back of my card, it actually says, or on the front of the card, it actually says, be grateful for your triggers. So to actually be grateful for the things that knock you on your butt. The rest of that slogan is, be grateful for your triggers, for they reveal your mistaken beliefs. And the word belief is your mistaken lies. So the only reason you're walking into walls, or you're tripping on stones, or you're lost in the woods, or you don't know where to go, The only reason is that there's something blocking the light. You're standing in the dark saying, I don't know where to go. And when you're a kid, you start crying because, you know, it's the boogeyman. So that's one way to be grateful. I am grateful for all the things that happen to me because I know I'm speeding up my healing, and healing and atonement are the same. He says, are healing and atonement related? He says that in section 22 of the manual. He said, no, they're not related. They're identical. And what is healing? Accepting that the I never left the love and the peace of God. But until I get there, I am responsible for removing the blockages to my awareness to love's presence. Now, that thing in section 23 comes from a section called "Does Jesus Have a Special Place in Healing?" And it says in the last paragraph, it says, yeah, the name of Jesus Christ is such is but a symbol, like all other symbols, like even God is a symbol, but it stands for love that is not of this world. It's a symbol that is safely used as a replacement for the many names of all the gods in which you pray. So, well, you know, you can pray to, you know, Chaim Lachem and, you know, whatever name you want to use. It doesn't matter. It becomes a shining symbol for the word of God, so close to what it stands for that the little space between the two is lost. And the moment that the name is called to mind, remembering the name of Jesus Christ is to give thanks for all the gifts that God has given to you. And gratitude to God becomes the way in which he is remembered. For love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. So the way home is gratitude. I mean, you can't go home if you're an ingrate. There's no ingrates in heaven. And remember, you never left heaven, but you're dreaming that I'm so unhappy. And I have to find a way to become happy. And of course, if you're looking for happiness in this world, you're looking for love in all the wrong places, for sure. I mean, he tells you in what, the last lesson, part 1 of the workbook, lesson 200. Remember, any one of those lessons is the whole course. He says you can't find the peace of God in this world. There is no peace but the peace of God. If you keep looking for peace, the peace of God in this world, you've got to fail. It's not here. What are you looking for? You're looking in a dream for the peace of God? That's what you think it is, a dream? But if you look within, you must succeed, because that's where it is. Don't look outside of you, look within. So that brought me to something that I actually remember clearly that happened to me the first time I went to a Course in Miracles conference. I was invited to come to Course in Miracles conference in 2007 in San Francisco. And my partner at the time was Linda Card. And at the last minute, she chose not to come. And she does live in Palm Springs out in California. And so I arrived in San Francisco airport, called her, and she says, I don't want to come. I said, okay. So I knew that I was going, I mean, I was invited, people signed up to hear Dove, David Fishman, and Linda Card. So I was, going to represent ACIM Gather. And by the way, 25 people came to ACIM Gather in those days, and to that conference from ACIM Gather. What is her name from Australia who comes to our Thursday night class? She came all the way from Australia. What's her name? You can't remember. I can't either.
Nicole Gleason.
Nicole Gleason. Thank
Oh.
you so much. You know, Lynn, you are my saint. You save me every time. Nicole Gleason came all the way from Australia for that first ACIM Gather meeting. We were there to represent ACIM Gather at the Course of Miracles conference in 2007. And you're given 2 sessions. And I always remember the first session. Nicole was sitting in the front row, and I was, talking about Regina saying she had butterflies in her stomach. I had butterflies the whole session, but I just kept my eyes fixed on Nicole Gleason sitting in the front row. That's the only face I saw. And she kept going like this. Yes, yes. And so I knew I was doing something good. She said, yes. So I know I got out of that one not so good, but it was it was a halfway thing. So all right. And then the next day I had a session right after lunch. Second day it was a session right after lunch, and everyone was having lunch in the lunchroom together, and that's like, I don't know, 200, 300 people having lunch together. And I got in a little late, and because I was trying to prepare the room ahead of time, and I got in a little late, and I got to have some of the buffet lunch, sitting down at a table almost all by myself, because almost everyone had left already, getting ready for the afternoon session. And this guy comes over to my table. His name is Howard, Dr. Howard. He was Master Teacher's personal medical doctor. Master Teacher, of course, from Endeavor Academy. And he starts to explain to me, we had a morning session here, and we wanted to show this recording, and the recording wasn't available, or the thing we showed it on wasn't available. Can we use half of your afternoon session for our own? And when he said it, I said, Jesus Christ. And if you're from the Bronx or from Brooklyn or from New York or from anywhere in the New York area, you know that Jesus Christ means, are you crazy? I got to tell you, before I left the house, right here, before I left the house, just as I was going to turn off the computer, this is before I even flew out to San Francisco. I forgot his name. Him and his wife used to come here all the time and teach. They had lost their daughter, and they were good friends of Peter Fishman at the time, and me. And he wrote something in the room just before I turned off the computer, and this is what he wrote from chapter 11, section 6, called Waking to Redemption. And I'll read the whole paragraph so nothing is missed, but then I'll just tell you the part that he put there. It starts at the bottom of the page, chapter 11, paragraph 7. You will not find peace. You know how you said you got to find peace? You will not find peace until you have removed the nails from the hands of God's Son and taken the last thorn from his forehead. The love of God surrounds his Son, whom the God of crucifixion has condemned. And this is the part that he wrote here in this room. And I asked him, where is it from? He says it's from chapter 11, section 6. And when I got on the plane, I want you to know, this is the only thing I read from New York, JFK to San Francisco. I read this page over and over and over. And it comes from Waking to Redemption. And this is what it says. It says, teach not that I died in vain. Teach rather that I did not die, by demonstrating that I live in you. And goes on to say, and if I live in you, you are awake now. So when that guy, Howard's, I think his name is Howard Steff. You probably know him, Lynn. When he
Yeah,
said,
Howard. Yeah.
yeah, I know that Vicky knows him very, very well because she's friends with that with the whole group. Of course, Teddy was number 2 in command at Endeavor. But when he said, "Can I have half of your session?" and I said, "Jesus Christ! Like, are you crazy?" And in that instant, after I said Jesus Christ, like from New York City streets, it came to me what he just said. He says, you have nailed yourself to a cross and you placed a crown of thorns upon your own head. Yet you cannot crucify God's Son, for the will of God cannot die. His Son has been redeemed from his own crucifixion, and you cannot assign to death whom God has given eternal life. The dream of crucifixion, you know how I spell fiction, still lies heavy on your eyes. But what you see in dreams is not reality. While you perceive the Son of God as crucified, you are asleep. And as long as you believe that you can crucify him, you're only having nightmares. You who are beginning to wake are still aware of dreams, and you have not forgotten them yet. The forgetting of dreams and the awareness of Christ comes with the awakening of others to share your redemption. And this is the part that came to me in that split second when he asked that crazy question, "Can I have half your session?" It says, you will awaken to your own call, for the call to awake is within you. And if I live in you, you are awake now. Yet you must see the works I do through you, or you will not perceive that I have done them unto you. Do not set limits on what I believe I can do through you, or you will not accept what I can do for you. Yet it is done already, and unless you give all that you have received, you will not know that your Redeemer liveth and that you are awakened with him. Redemption is recognized only, love the word only. Redemption is recognized only by sharing it. That whole thing, that whole paragraph came to me in a split second, and I realized this is Jesus asking me to stop being crazy because he wants to do miracles through me. And in the next second, I said to Howard Steff, Jesus Christ, yes. And it was the most loving Jesus Christ you could ever say. The first Jesus Christ was the ego. The second was spirit. And I said, oh, yes, take care of my session, please. Jesus is with us right here, right now. And I remember walking into the room. Master teacher had his whole following behind him. And he said, oh, wait, I want to speak to you before you walk in the room. I said, oh, you want to speak to me? And he looks at my name tag and it said, David Fishman. I said, yes, you are the fisher of men. And I'm thinking, why is he calling me the fisher of men? He's looking at my name, and he must know I'm Jewish. And those are the thoughts I'm having. And he said, no, Fishman, you're the fisher of men. And his whole following says, yes, you are the fisher of men. He says, I want you to read this from, it was from 2 John. He says, I want you to read this little section before we walk into the room. He had me read it. And we walked into the room, and all I can tell you is that was the most wonderful session I have ever had in my entire life. all I can remember, I don't remember too much, but I remember it was like stars falling from the sky, light all over the place. I couldn't really see the people in the room because he had darkened the room for his video recording. I couldn't see the people. All I saw was these sparkling lights, and I had such a good time. Nothing like the first session where I knew I got out of there by the skin of my teeth. And with that, I'll turn the mic back on over to you, love.
Wow, that's a real heartfelt story. That was something of a wonderful experience that you had. It was a telling, a knowing that came to you. And yeah, it can blow your mind. It really can. You talked about in the teacher's manual, does Jesus have a special place in healing? And as soon as I opened the book, that page automatically opened up to that. Does Jesus have a special place in healing? So we asked that question. This really gives us a pretty good insight. God's gifts can really rarely be received directly. Even the most advanced of God's teachers will give way to temptation in this world. So even the most advanced teachers of God, that's what we have to forgive ourselves, because, when something comes between me and God, me and Jesus, which is a thought that is not a peaceful one, maybe it's an attack thought, even the most advanced teachers of God experience that. So not to really feel guilty when we experience that moment of retreat back into the ego's world. Recognize that he is there. On the next page, Jesus has led the way. Why would you not be grateful to him? He has asked for love, but only that he may give it to you. You do not love yourself, but in his eyes, your loveliness is so complete and flawless that he sees in it an image of his Father. So when he looks at you, he sees God. That's what he sees. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all do that? If we could look at our brother and see the God in them? Because not everybody makes it easy to see the God in them. And that's what provokes us. And to just concentrate on that person that you feel is provoking you is really there to teach you something. He's there to teach you that you need to look past his indiscretions and go right to the source, which is God. And that's where the part of him that lives in you, just as Jesus lives within us and lives within our soul, the context of our soul, that cannot be damaged, that cannot be changed, that cannot be altered. It's there, and it was put there, and that's where it stays. And that is such a comforting thought, because it makes you see that all is not hopeless, and that that our Savior is with us always. And that's a wonderful feeling. I saw a movie, we live in a world that's crazy, it's just the craziness that comes up. I saw a movie that I wanted to tell you about, because you and I have talked about AI, artificial intelligence, and this was with Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. And this movie is all about AI, artificial intelligence. And it really, if you want to become frightened by it, it can be a little unsettling. We know that right now the movie industry is on strike, and that has a lot to do with artificial intelligence. Do you know that they can make an image of you, Dove, of me, Dove, just the way we look, just the way we talk, except that they can put words into our mouths. They can make up whatever they want us to say. And that is going to be a very confusing way to live, because I would think, that you get a politician, and he starts to speak about something that he never said. How does he prove it? And that's coming. That really is. If it's not here already, maybe it's just being perfected. But the world is just in turmoil, and maybe that'll bring us into greater turmoil. But at the same time, the world is healing because we're rising in consciousness. People of all religions, races, places, dynamics are raising their consciousness. And collectively, as that happens, it makes, it changes the world into a better place. So we can only believe, I believe, that we're really, that we're all okay, that we always will be. And we see something as a threat to recognize that collectively, the consciousness of all that we are, we're all connected to one another. We're all part of that same energetic frequency that brings us to a better consciousness. It all helps, when I see it all around me. There's so much available to us in the context of spirituality. I mean, all you need to do is look on YouTube and you find so many different sources of variations of explanation, but it all says the same thing. It all says the same thing, that we have to feel forgiveness, that we have to feel the love in our hearts, that we'll feel if we can just extricate the part that's full of debris. I call it the ego, and that we get into the part that we have the holiness of who we are is clean, it's pure, it's effervescent, it's wonderful. And, that's really the difference. But I thought that, I think that we're in a good place, and we just have to remain there. But to me, it gives me so much comfort when I hear all these speakers. And look what we have with us, gather us, the Course in Miracles that we are. That we teach, that we attend the group sessions and so forth, and all the teachers. I won't call them teachers. We're not teachers. We're really here to learn as well, and we're just here to reveal our experiences. But I think that the people that you just mentioned, Nicole and Sharon and Regis and Glorian, and if I left anybody out, Lynn, and we're all Brooklyn. I mean, we're all part of that goal that really wants to, the goal that we all have in common, to feel peaceful, to be in that holy place that we were created. We want to stay there. And I see it happening. I see it happening all around me. And it's there. It really is. It's there for us. So
I just want to say
peace.
Peace is the goal of the course, but we all share the same purpose, and purpose is a mind, and purpose is truth. Our purpose, like that's how I came into the spiritual awakening. It came to me, love the truth. And we're all here to remember the truth. Because if you're here in this world, you're in a world of make believe, make lies, and think that it's true. So we want to wake up from the lie. We want to take the thorns from our head, the nails from our hands. Those are the ways that we have crucified ourselves, and we have hurt ourselves. We suffered, but in truth, you cannot suffer. Truth is oneness. Truth is sameness, equality, and what is one cannot hurt at all. What is one is what love is. Love has no opposite. It simply extends and gives. To have love, give love to all. And the ego says, how can I love all? I hate some. No. Love simply extends and gives all to all. So I just want to put that in, and reminding everyone that tonight is Tuesday night. And I think Gloria and Lynn, I think, are going to be thinking about Joel Goldsmith, The Infinite Way. So please join us for that. And it has been wonderful being with you, Myrna, as always. I love the smile in your eyes when you're speaking and sharing from your heart. It's like God has shown his light and confidence onto your face. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys, so much. I'm so grateful for the both of you, and your sharing is just so beautiful to me. I want to let you know my son has not gone in for his surgery yet. He's still waiting. They told him an hour ago they would come get him half an hour, but he's in the light. He's in the hands of the Holy Spirit and angels. Also want to let you guys know that next Tuesday night, I'll be interviewing, or we'll have a discussion with Liz Cronkite, the ACIM mentor, and she's just lovely and wonderful. So tonight we're doing The Infinite Way. Next Tuesday, Liz Cronkite. So I'm very excited about that.
Just as a reminder, Liz used to teach here for at least a year and a half, by the way.
Yep, she used to what, Sunday nights, I believe. I remember.
She was on, yes, on Sunday night. She was our teacher. And I'll never forget the last time she came here. I had forgotten to introduce her, and she did get a little upset. So
I won't forget.
That's okay.
Yeah, well, people change over the years, and I've been reading her book, her newest book, and
Yeah.
it's lovely. So we're going to talk about that too. So
Yeah,
right.
and John Money's going to have her on one of his Sundays.
Very good, very good.
All because of Sharon.
Yep. God bless you, Sharon. Yep. So and
sharing with Sharon and Myrna.
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, we have a formidable group, really.
A formidable group, yes.
Yeah.
We are the light group.
We are, right.
We are. And you
We
are
are.
the fisher of men. I mean, you fished us all out.
Well, wasn't Jesus a fisherman too? I mean,
Yes, and
I thought of
that's what-
Jesus when you said that. You're connected to Jesus.
Yeah, that's what he said to the fishermen when he walked up to them in their boats, and he said, "Come with me, and I will make you fishers of men."
Right.
And
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
come with me, and I will make you fishers of men.
That I think that was Simon who was a fisherman, and poor Simon couldn't get any fish into his boat.
Right.
And Jesus said to him, "Just cast your net out on the water again." He said, "But Jesus, I've done that 100 times. It doesn't work. Do it again." He pulls in loads and boatloads of fish into his boat.
See, Jesus can do anything. So we
That's
just
right.
have to stay within the sanctity of his love, and we're all okay.
Okay,
Exactly.
love you all.
Love you
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye, Regis. Happy birthday.
And happy birthday, Zoma.
Happy
Okay.
birthday, Zoma. Yes.
Today is Zoma's birthday. Tomorrow is
Oh,
Regis' birthday.
Yes.
So happy birthday, both of you.
Little brother, little sister, big brother,
You know,
big
but
sister.
I
They're
would
all the
like to,
same.
if you
Brothers
could
and
just send me the
sisters.
link, Zoom's link, so I can tune in on Monday. It's a different link. I don't have her link.
Oh yeah, that's today also, isn't it?
No, it's Mondays, isn't
No,
it?
it's Monday at 3
Oh,
o'clock.
Monday. Okay.
So just send me the link. if you can.
No, just send your email to Karen. That's all.
Karen, I don't have her email.
Karen's. I'll send it to you.
Okay, I will.
Okay, bye.
Okay.